The NBA just hit the reset button. They flipped the script. In a shocking secret move, they've implemented rule changes mid-season that have shifted the balance back to the defense. The NBA had a problem. Offenses were running rampant, and games were turning into scoring frenzies. But instead of addressing it head-on, Adam Silver hit the reset button behind the scenes. Bye-bye inflated video game scoring numbers, flops, and foul grifts. Welcome back real defensive physicality. The great rebalancing fans have been screaming for this season. This game-changing shakeup will have an effect throughout the league, and the fallout will be epic. Get ready for a power shift that crowns new kings and exposes the floppers as pretenders. In an unexpected move, the NBA has implemented some of the most game-breaking rule changes imaginable. Changes that not only threaten to reshape the possible outcomes of this season, but threaten to change the game forever. The overwhelming offensive bias was completely relegating defense out of the game. They were handicapped, unable to barely even touch the other player. The offense took full advantage of this imbalance and baited the defense into endless ticky-tacky fouls, even bumping or flying into them with wild abandon just to get the call. These weren't even real basketball plays anymore. Fans, coaches, and the league were totally fed up. But just when the battle seemed most lost, Adam Silver accomplished what no one thought possible. He implemented a series of unwritten rules that gave power back to the defense to dominate the game from that side. The game is being called more loosely now. They're allowing the defense to play more physical. There are less foul calls, and it shows up in the numbers. Both foul calls and scoring are down. Defenders who play with a higher level of intensity and physicality will greatly benefit with this new rule change. What teams or players will benefit the most? Which ones will it hurt the most? And how will these new unwritten rules change the course of the regular season? Can they even be influential enough to sway this season's championship? The truth is, the current product was unsustainable. Record-high scoring, foul grifting, and flopping. The current rules of the NBA had made some of the league's best stars virtually indefensible, starting with Harden almost a decade ago and going through Giannis, Embiid, Shea, and Trae Young. The rulebook simply did not allow the defense any chance to stop them. Some players used this fully to their advantage and were able to draw fouls every time they had the ball. There have been countless examples of coaches dissatisfied with the unfairness and bias that these decisions often brought with them. And if you don't believe it, ask Coach Mike Brown or Darko Rajakovic. And, well, the NBA has not made any official communication about this possible rule change. Not only that, but it came into effect in the middle of the regular season. Adam Silver couldn't watch the scoring stampede any longer. This rule change will end up benefiting a number of franchises, but it will also hurt others. It is possible that if it had been put to a vote, many teams would have refused after creating their systems based on the rules that were supposed to be in place. But no, the NBA, according to Mark Stein, has said that there have been no orders to the referees to allow more contact. He also assured the drop-in free throws after the All-Star break was due to a statistical anomaly. Yes, coincidentally, the steepest decline in league history is a simple anomaly. But if you're watching the games, you can see for yourself the difference in officiating now. Just look at this play by Luka Doncic. It seems that all of a sudden, even hand-checking is back. Yes, that rule that changed the NBA 20 years ago because the defense was too powerful is back. For one simple reason, and that is that offensive players have improved incredibly in just 2 decades. The physicality, athleticism, and skills of today's players are much stronger. Defense has gone from looking like this to looking like this. Now everyone is a threat from anywhere on the floor. But it's not just about the hand-checking. The physicality that has been allowed on defense over the last few weeks seems to indicate that certain players are going to have a lot more freedom to express themselves defensively. The so-called soft calls that some guards have traditionally gotten are no longer there, and contact in the zone is no longer penalized. This makes it much more difficult for players to get to the paint. Slashers can no longer take as much advantage. In short, this changes the scoring opportunities for many players. In addition, it seems that certain actions and jump shots are also being turned a blind eye. Over the last few years, the league has put a lot of emphasis on respecting the landing space and has tightened the rules in this regard. This type of action has led to injuries to big-time stars like Kobe Bryant or Kawhi Leonard, and the NBA has to protect its players. However, Offensive players over the past few seasons have learned to draw fouls by being crafty, using the arms of defenders when they are out of position, with fakes, both stationary and in motion. But it seems that the refs have also relaxed in that area. The other day, the Thunder and Rockets were playing, and Dillon Brooks started defending jump shots in a strange way. Supposedly, the defender is allowed to contact the offensive player's hand once the ball is already in the air. But these types of plays were penalized on a regular basis. Dillon showed that now he is able to get away with it. Brooks used this "gimme five" defense on many occasions and was not penalized for it once. Fans who watch basketball on a daily basis have already figured it out, but so have the stats. During the past month of December, the NBA's average offensive rating was 118.2 points per 100 possessions, the highest figure in league history for a single month. In January, the average dropped to 117.4. During that month, we watched the incredible performances of Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns, scoring 70 and 62 points respectively on the same night. And then, a few nights later, Luka Doncic dropped a record-breaking 73 points. The media was in a frenzy, not about his incredible performance, but about the current rules of the game. Maybe that was a turning point for Adam Silver. Many experts claim that this change officiating trends took place right after this date. In February, the league's average offensive rating dropped to 115.6, only to drop again to 115.2 during the month of March. Curiously, 7 of the 8 best offensive ratings in NBA history are from this current season. All this attention and outrage reached a boiling point, and they took action. More and more clues are pointing to the same thing. The other day at Madison Square Garden saw one of the strangest games in recent NBA history. The Sixers, without their 2 stars, Embiid and Maxey, played the Knicks. The Sixers won with a score of 79-73. Yes, you heard that right, 79-73. The 152 combined points between the two teams marked the lowest scoring game in the NBA since January 2016. 8 years ago, how is it possible for players to shoot only 57 out of 160 combined in field goal shooting? Well, if you're allowed to actually play defense, that's how. The NBA has taken steps to improve defense, and it's having an effect. Now, how does this affect the current regular season? Well, what is clear is that the best defenses in the league are going to be even better. Those teams that have versatile players with size that use their athleticism to win duels on defense are going to be the ones that benefit the most. We're talking about teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves with Jaden McDaniels, with Anthony Edwards, teams like the Boston Celtics and their elite defensive backcourt with Drew Holiday and Derek White. Other teams with great athleticism like Orlando, Oklahoma, or Houston could also take advantage of this situation. Initially, there are certain types of players that will also benefit. The typical intense, aggressive defenders will have an advantage on defense with this new freedom. Veterans like Patrick Beverley or Draymond Green, wings with good size, will be able to exploit their physical qualities much more. This type of versatile defender who's able to defend multiple positions, who's able to be effective both on the perimeter and in the paint, will increase their defensive potential even more. Players like Herb Jones, Jared Vanderbilt, OG Anunoby, or Lou Dort. These players have been important in the NBA for many years, but today, with the type of defense that is being allowed, they'll be even more valuable. But as there are winners, there are also going to be losers. Beyond the fact that scoring will be more complicated for all players in the league, some players will be more vulnerable to these changes than others. Players who rely on getting fouls as a part of their scoring game, like Trey, Shea, Embiid, or Giannis. These players rely on going to the line with ease because of their ability to force contact on their drives. However, it's going to be much more complicated from here on out. In the case of the league's top talents, this is not going to be a problem, as they're so good that they are going to continue to get good looks to score and to adapt their game and play style. This will separate the true elite scorers from the pretenders. These changes can not only have a big influence on the outcome of games in the short term, but in the long term they can change the entire spectrum of players in the league. If the hand-checking rule had not been implemented in 2004, the average player profile might be very different. That rule sparked an unprecedented scoring explosion a decade later, leading to the three-pointer revolution and the pace and space era. And now, the same thing may end up happening in reverse. To see how influential the impact can be, we can look at the work of NBA scouts. If the profile of players populating the league is different, the qualities that scouts are looking for will be different as well. This means that some prospects could gain or lose value over others if this defensive trend continues to rise. In the end, a player's ability is determined not only by his talent, but also by his ability to adapt to the basketball being played at the time. That's the reason why Steph Curry was only a 3-star prospect when he was recruited by Davidson, or the reason why Jahlil Okafor didn't trumpet into the NBA in the 2010s, when he surely would have 2 decades earlier. So yes, we're talking serious business. Despite the fact that according to the NBA, no changes have been implemented during the season, it has certainly demonstrated a clear desire to empower the defense. And that's precisely where this theory of the league's evolution makes sense. For Silver, these changes have only been the beginning, a small experiment that is shaking the foundations of the scoring palace that the league had become. And because of that, hopefully these changes will harden over time, progressing the game in a new direction that is more balanced. But, on the other hand, let's not forget one thing: the offense will continue to progress. The players coming into the league are getting more skilled, bigger, and in some ways more unstoppable. No rule that can be implemented to stop players like Victor Wembanyama from having noticeable inches towering over any defender. If the Frenchman is able to take advantage of this, we're likely to see a new type of scorer that we have never seen before. It's a work in progress, but so far we've already seen a new type of defender we haven't seen before. This means that the restrictions that are in the hands of the league always have a partial influence, and it's the talent of the players themselves that determines success in terms of being efficient. The NBA has thrown down the gauntlet and drawn a line in the sand. By secretly implementing these new defensive rules mid-season, they've sent a shockwave through the league that will reverberate for years to come. This isn't just about restoring some balance between offense and defense for the remainder of this season. No, this is Adam Silver's attempted course correction for the future direction of the game itself. For too long, the offensive talent has been given free rein, distorting the game into foul hunting and scoring frenzies that have tested the limits of basketball purists. But now, the defense has been unchained, with Silver seemingly willing to turn the entire sport on its head, to bring it back to its roots. The new trend we're witnessing could be just the beginning. If this experiment to empower defenders proves successful and fans buy in, we may see rules continually tweaked further in that direction over the coming years. Imagine a point where even hand-checking becomes fully legal again and scoring returns to the 1990s levels. Or perhaps this is just a momentary blip, and skilled offensive talents like Wembanyama will masterfully adapt and evolve their games to counteract and break down even the strongest defenses. A new breed of unstoppable scorers triggering another inevitable rule rebalancing. Regardless of where it ultimately lands, one thing is certain: the NBA has entered uncharted territory. The greats who built their brands on foul baiting may never be able to replicate their past stats. Draft prospects previously dismissed could re-enter the lottery conversation based on their defensive skills. This was Adam Silver's Pandora's box moment. He's opened it, and there's no going back. The very core identity of NBA basketball is being reshaped right before our eyes. Buckle up, we're about to find out if the NBA's new defensive identity sticks, or it gets erased as just a blip in the climb towards inevitable high-scoring utopia. Hopefully it stays so we can all enjoy a real, balanced, and highly competitive game again.